Hey everyone, and Rich, glad you could join me for this live broadcast. We have some winter weather headed our way. Tomorrow morning, we'll likely start to see it in our community around 6 a.m., and the roads will begin to become hazardous. And with any winter weather event or severe weather event, we always like to come live to our community just to give you some reassurance that we are prepared for this storm and to give you some tips about what you can do to keep you and your family safe. So I got Rich here to help me with the weather, to also go over some tips. But let's get into it. Let's see from the Weather Service what they are expecting for Mount Juliet tomorrow morning, and they expect us to have anywhere from 3 to 4 inches on average around our area. It could be 6 inches, it could be even more. They definitely know for sure we're probably going to have a good chance of having 2 inches or more for our area, and we could even have 6 inches and more for our area as well. Going on to the next slide that the Weather Service provided to us, it shows the different probabilities. You can see in the 10th percentile, around 3 inches for the Mount Juliet area, and then in the 90th percentile, you could potentially see 10 inches or 9 inches around the Wilson County area. So there's a range of degree, I guess, of what they feel on the amount of snow that we will get. It all changes on different variables, whether we get more sleet, more snow, how much water is in the atmosphere. I'm not the weather person. Rich is a little bit more keen in on that. But we could see a range. We know for sure that whatever we get, it's going to be hazardous, right? It's going to affect the roadways, regardless, even though our public works department has been out all day doing some pre-treatment. That helps a little bit, but we do suspect the roads will get hazardous tomorrow morning. But I'm looking forward to the snow. I like to see it at least once a year. I only like to deal with it for about a day. Rich likes it for weeks and weeks on end. He's from the north. I'm from the south. I just like to get the feel of it for the year, and then we move on and we have 80-degree weather again. But when will it start tomorrow? Most likely 6 a.m. in the morning for our area. It's circled Mount Juliet on the map in the little green area. We're in the shading for the number 2, and most likely is 6 a.m. It could be as early as 4 a.m. It could be as late as 8 a.m. But once it starts, it's going to affect the roads. And that's why you've seen many of the school systems, including Wilson County schools, closed for tomorrow. Our local Christian Academy, Mount Juliet Christian Academy, is closed as well. But everyone's just wanting to prepare and be safe. What we are not wanting to see is a lot of people get out in the morning because it hasn't started to snow yet or the roads are not hazardous yet. They get out in the morning and then they realize they have to get back home and then the roads are hazardous. That's when we see a lot of problems, typically in previous storms. So we're just advocating to our community members to stay home tomorrow. It's going to start snowing early in the morning. The roads are going to become hazardous, and we just need to stay home and stay safe. So hopefully you've done all your shopping today and the day before, so you have supplies and food. Our snow and ice plows are operating on 24 operations. They've already been pre-treating the roads with the salt brine that you see. That's the liquid substance that they put on the roads. It adds a little bit of a layer to help the snow melt, but also remove the snow and ice with the plows. They will have 4 trucks running on different routes. It's a tier system of routes based on priority of road importance, meaning how often are the roads traveled? Are there any emergency resources near those roads, such as police stations, fire stations, or emergency rooms? And you can see a map. It's a little small, probably on your screen, but they have a plan where there are roads mapped in tier 1, tier 2 throughout the city that each of these trucks run on those routes. So there'll be 4 dedicated to routes. And then we're thankful because we also have a truck available to emergency services, police and fire, that is available for hotspot type issues. So if we run into a roadway that's particularly more dangerous than others, we can call this hotspot truck out to help treat that. If we have an emergency where we have to get a fire truck or an ambulance to a scene and it's difficult to get there, we can call that hotspot truck to get to that road to help treat it. So really 5 trucks out, and those men and women with the Public Works Department will be working so hard on 24-hour operations just to ensure that our roads are as clear as they can be. They're going to work hard. They do every year. But that doesn't mean every road is going to be clean. It doesn't mean they're going to clean the main roads as quick as what we may want to see happen. It all depends on the amount of precipitation we get, how much snowfall we get, how much that packs down on the roads, but also how cold is it going to be, how much sunshine do we get throughout the day. That all aids in clearing the roads, but really do appreciate them. I get to see it every year when I see those men and women out working in those trucks, and they do work hard all the time. And I think, Rich, you probably have something to talk about with the safety on crowding around the plows. So bring up Rich has a little bit of a presentation as well. So Rich, talk about that safety about those plow trucks.
Yeah, sure. So, folks, when they do get out there, and to echo Deputy Chief, the folks over there at Public Works, they really do a fantastic job. But they kind of rely on all of us on the road too to help keep them safe. So when you see those plows out there and those salt crews out there, don't crowd the plow. Keep them safe. Maintain a safe distance. Slow down when you're around those plows. Generally, the plows will travel around 35 miles an hour or slower. So adjust your speed to what they're doing. Don't be just speeding up past them, because you never know what might come off the front of those plows on the front of those trucks. As they're cruising along, clearing those roads, you never know, they might hit a pothole and stir up some rocks or road debris, and that could end up potentially hitting your car if you're cruising past them too fast and not paying attention to what they're doing. So just be really safe with those trucks. The safest place, remember, is always just behind those guys and gals in those trucks, whether it's on the interstate or on the surface streets. Just be really careful and really mindful of what they're doing. It's the best rule of thumb is just always stay behind them, because once they clear the roads, and it's going to make it easier and safer for all of us to get around.
Yeah, for sure. I guess tomorrow the winter storm warning kicks in about 3 in the morning for the Middle Tennessee area. We will probably start to see impacts anywhere between 4 a.m. around 6 a.m. Could be latest as 8 a.m. But Rich, what does a winter storm mean? And I think you have a pretty interesting graphic that helps explain that.
I do, and those who know me know I
It
like my
with the
funny
tacos.
graphics. Yeah, normally I
It
use the
does have to
tacos
do with
for
food.
severe storm season, but I like my French toast graphic
There
for
you go.
winter weather. And two, I gotta throw out two quick shout outs for this. One to my brother for originally planting this idea in my head. So kudos to David for the French toast joke, because everybody always hits the stores and buys them bread, milk, eggs, etc. And then my friend Bridget over at Wilson County 911 actually designed this graphic for me. So thanks to Bridget. But I love this graphic. This is probably the funniest graphic I think I've ever seen related to weather. But folks, kind of the same thing as the taco graphic I use during severe storm season. The same thing applies. Winter storm watch, which we have previously been under and are still under until first thing tomorrow morning, just means all the ingredients are there for your French toast. It means everything's ready to happen. Once the winter storm warning hits, hey, then it's French toast time. It means everything's going on. It means you need to be already have all your stuff, all your plans in place, ready to eat that French toast. So stay home, enjoy your time at home. Don't get out on the roads unless you absolutely have to. Keep your safe place, just like during storm season. You got to have a safe place. You got to have a plan. You got to have your supplies. Have a go bag in your car with some simple supplies for your car. It just take care of you and yourself and your family. But always remember the French toast for winter weather season.
I like it, Rich. I wish I had that right now because it's making me hungry. It looks good.
And then to move along, for speaking of planning and taking care of yourselves, a few days ago, a few days ahead of the storm, it's when you really start checking all that gear, your emergency supplies for your home and your car. It's a good time to double check on your smoke detectors and your CO2 detectors in your house. Make sure you keep plenty of fuel in your car, and if you have any type of fuel related heating sources for your home or your barns, your garages, etc. Make sure all those things are topped off. Especially for your car, because if you do happen to get stuck on the road, the last thing you want to have happen is run out of gas in that car and you lose your heat source for your car, right? And then day before, like today, adjust any plans as necessary related to, we just heard an hour or two ago that schools are closed. So you may have to adjust your plans for relating to your kids and your work. Have multiple ways to receive warnings, just like during severe storm season in spring and summer. Your wireless alerts on your phone, your MJ alerts for us here when we send those out. Your weather radio is always going to be one of the most reliable sources. So have multiple ways to get those warnings and alerts from the weather service. And of course, bring your pets indoors and make sure they have fresh, not frozen water. If you're out, keep your pets outside and they're comfortable outside for some reason in this cold weather, don't let their water freeze. That water is going to be vital to them. They can't drink ice, right? So you got to make sure those pets are warm and comfortable. If it's just like in the summer, if it's too hot out for you, it's too hot out for them. Same thing
Mhm.
applies in the winter. If it's too cold out for you, it's too cold out for them. So you got to
Absolutely.
take care of them during and after the event, like tomorrow, because we're expecting snowmageddon tomorrow. Remain vigilant and take care of yourself and your family. Check on people. If you know people that perhaps are elderly and don't get out much, take care of them. Check on your neighbors and your family. Make sure you properly ventilate those heat sources, especially if they're gas fueled or propane fueled or whatever the case is. You got to make sure you have proper ventilation so you don't cause a suffocation situation. And if you're going to run generators, if your power happens to go out, because sometimes the ice and snow buildup might bring those power lines down. If you fire up a generator, keep it at least 20 feet away from your home to help with that ventilation issue. And of course, if you're going to go out and clean your sidewalk, clean your driveway, help your neighbors with the same, clean off your cars, just take it easy. Don't overwork yourself because just like in the summertime, you can actually overheat yourself and cause all kinds of medical related issues. So you don't want to overheat yourself, get yourself real sweaty, which can cause you to get even colder as well. So take it slow, take it easy, take care of yourself. That's the most important thing. Because if you don't take care of yourself, then you can't take care of your family and your neighbors too.
Absolutely. And Rich, to add to that, we see a lot of injuries during these snow and ice events related to falls. Someone's walking on a sidewalk, they're leaving a store, they're walking in their driveway, and they slip and they fall on the ice, which causes injuries. Ambulance is dispatched out that way, and then they take care of them. So be careful if you're out walking around. It will be slick for a couple of days. I believe about 4 days before we see any true melting. Hopefully Monday, Tuesday, we'll see a lot of the stuff melt and we can get back to normal around our community. But be careful when you're out and about. For the kids and even the adults who like to have fun when you're out sledding, be mindful where you are sledding. We see a lot of people sled down roads, but also cars travel down those roads. And when you can't stop a sled, when you can't stop a car that's sliding, that could lead to a dangerous situation. If you're sledding in open fields, walk the path of the sled first to be sure there's not any debris under the snow that could cause injury to the children who are sledding down that hill or the adults sledding down the hill as well. We see a lot of people like to have a lot of fun and be mindful of obstacles that are in your path. It's hard to stop a sled. And if you try to fall off the sled, your body could still continue to move as well. And we've seen people sled into mailboxes, into trees, into barbed wire fencing, and we don't want to see anyone dangerous. So just use your head a little bit. Think about what you're doing before you do it, because when you're on snow and ice, it's a lot harder to stop, and that can lead to injuries out there. But Rich, great information that you have with that graphic, and we just want everyone to be safe tomorrow.
Absolutely. And one more thing about shoveling, especially with this weather pattern that's coming, since so far it's looking like it's going to be mostly just snow. Um, for your driveways, your sidewalks, things like that, let the snow fall first. And then once the bulk of the snow is down, go ahead and do your initial shoveling because if you let it sit too long, it's going to get compacted and it's going to turn to ice. And once that gets compacted and turns to ice, it's going to make it so much more difficult to clear it off of your driveways, your sidewalks, your patios. So don't let it sit too long and get compacted and freeze up. Because if it's going to be just this nice, wet, moist, good packing snow that they're calling for, it'll freeze up after 12, 14, 18 hours of sitting there. So let it sit for just a little while, have fun with it, be careful in it, but then go ahead and shovel it and get it cleared off of your driveways and your sidewalks. And then that way it'll help your driveways and sidewalks be a little more safe for you after the initial snowfall.
Great stuff. What else you got?
When you're out driving, make sure you take it slow, man. Be real careful on the roads, whether they've been plowed or not, because black ice is a thing, especially down here in the South. Once the plows come through and clean it off, you black ice, you can't see it. But before you go out driving, make sure you clean off your vehicles, because folks, we've seen it so many times here. People don't clean off their vehicles, and that stuff will sit on top of your car before you move it, and it turns into sheets of ice and just stuff sitting there on top of your car. And when you get out driving around and the little bit of breeze gets under it and it flies off and hits the car behind you, causing damage to their windows. We've seen people get hurt in those types of incidents, and that's the last thing we want to see happen. So make sure you clean off your vehicles before you go out driving. But when you do get out driving, don't use your cruise control, because it limits the amount of control you have over your car. Keep the best control you can of your vehicle. Don't slam on your brakes. And when you do get out in traffic, if you come across any traffic, try and leave as much distance between you and the vehicle in front of you as is safely possible to do. And like we've already talked about, especially with the plows and salt spreaders, try and stay back behind them as safely as you can. Don't get up in front of them. Don't get up next to them. Let them do their job.
Very good. And Rich, with our plans with the police department tomorrow, we looked at staff levels, and we're pretty good on staff levels. We have many different units that work, not just our patrol team. So we'll have our normal patrol teams, which is well staffed, but our investigators will be out tomorrow along with different administrative staff, including myself and Rich, out early in the morning once the severe weather begins for our community. And we'll be here and waiting and to see what type of impacts we have. Some winter weather events are calmer than others. Some are a lot busier than others. A lot of it has to do with the time of day, when it starts, if people are already at work or not, if they are trying to get home. There's many different variables that could lead to more complications or lead to something that's very easy. We hope it's going to be an easy day for us tomorrow. If we need to scale up our staff levels, we can quickly do that as well to ensure that every call that comes in, we can easily respond to those calls that require a police response. But we're also going to be smart in the way we respond as well. If our presence is not needed on a scene, if it's some type of report, we're going to handle that by the phone. So we're not adding any more risk or more vehicles out on the roadway if we don't have to. Now, of course, if we have to be there, our police officers, firefighters, and EMS workers, they're going to be there. But if it's something we can handle on the phone, we're going to prioritize our phone reports during this hazardous weather event. Of course, if you are involved in a crash tomorrow, we want you to get out of the roadway, get out of whatever path that cars are sliding down and they are crashing into each other. If we find a spot in the city that is a dangerous area with snow and ice, and if you see one of our emergency vehicles blocking the lane or across the roadway, that likely means that road is closed. So don't take it upon yourself to then pass that emergency vehicle to go around it. Sometimes when our officers respond to situations, not everyone is there yet. And one officer may be on the scene. He may quickly park his vehicle across the road and then go to the crash scene, which could be a distance away from where the officer is blocking the road to try to check on people or to see what's going on. Just never pass an emergency vehicle unless you're waved around that emergency vehicle if they are blocking a roadway. So we hope tomorrow is going to be easy. If it's not, we'll have plenty of staff here to ensure that we are able to respond to all the incidents that occur. We also want you to let us know if you know of anyone or think you know of someone who needs our help, whether they are cold, they don't have heat, whether they need food, they're stranded out on the interstate, out on any of our roads. We want to go out and help them. It's going to be cold tomorrow. And we don't want anyone to be cold. We want to be there for them and help them in any way that we can. And we have resources to get them heat. We have resources to get people food. In years past, we've helped people with their medicines, whatever it may be. We're here to serve our community, and we want to make people's days better. We understand when we have a severe weather impacting event, it's hard for people to go about their normal day-to-day lives. The county is also doing something as well with an extreme weather emergency shelter. So if there are people in our community or in the county who do not have shelter, they can go out to the Wilson County Fairgrounds. We can help with transportation with that where there is food, warmth, and places to stay for pets and also people. So be mindful about that. There are ways we can ensure people in our community are taken care of. And then Rich mentioned earlier about our MJ alert system. And if you're not registered for MJ Alert, you're really missing out on a lot of good information that we put out in our community. And now sometimes it can seem like a lot, but we believe an informed community is a safer community. So we let you know about bad crashes. We let you know about power outages in our community, which was some alerts that went out today. But we also let you know about suspects that are on the run, active police pursuits that are occurring, missing people. We keep our community informed about the facts regarding activity that our police officers and emergency service crews are involved in, but also with the weather. Once we begin to have weather impacts in our community, we're going to send out a text to let you know that we are seeing hazardous roadways. Our officers are out here in the field reporting hazardous roadways, and you really don't need to be out. Now, there is high confidence that this winter storm is going to impact our roads. And that's why we are so confident in our messaging from the Weather Service and our messaging from the city and police department that we know roads tomorrow are going to be hazardous. That's why schools have already closed early. And that's why we are advocating to all of our community members, if you can stay home tomorrow, please just stay home, because we're afraid if you leave early in the morning to go to work, you get out in it, it's going to be a difficult time for you to get home that afternoon. So hopefully your different workplaces are working with you on work from home options or ways just to keep yourself safe. But we know too that there are people who have jobs where they can't stay home, right? And so God bless to each and every one of you, our police officers, firefighters, EMS workers, everyone who keeps functions running that ensure that all of us are able to live peacefully. We appreciate what you do to do that. We understand you will be out and about in it, and we get that. And just know that our officers and all of our crews will be out there to help you should you need help as you get to and from your destination. So, Rich, looks like you have some radar pulled up. Let's pull it up and see what the weather looks like.
Yeah, you can see the front starting to creep into the state already out here in the west end of the state, and so far it's just looking like rain in the southwest corner of the state. But you can see the snow line right behind it there, and it's looking like some pretty dark blue in there. So that's indicating some pretty intense snow. So it's coming for sure. And you can see on the 7-day forecast right now it's 35 degrees, which is fairly mild for what we're looking at coming at us. But look at those lows over the next few days. That's what's going to determine how quick that snow is going to melt off during the day. Tomorrow during the main event, our high is scheduled or forecasted only to be 32 degrees. So when it starts falling tomorrow, it's going to stay for a while. But on the bright side, literally come Sunday, it's going to be nice and sunny and 38 degrees roughly. And come Monday, it's going to be nice and mostly sunny with some 37 degrees. So that may help with the melt off pretty good for Sunday and Monday. But again, as Deputy Chief mentioned, just depending on how much actually falls during this French toast weather, it's going to depend on how quick it's actually going to melt off come Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. So again, just be mindful, be careful, take care of yourselves, take care of each other.
And with the lows, those nights on Saturday night and Sunday night, and also Monday night, it's dipping well below freezing. So whatever is wet out on the roads will freeze again. And that's what when Rich talked about the black ice type stuff, which is harder to see, you want to be careful about that. But we'll keep you updated through this winter weather event. For those who are new to Mount Juliet, we frequently do these live updates to update our community about what we are dealing with as a police department, but how our roads look. Sometime Rich goes out and does live updates from his patrol vehicle that he has. And then Justin Beasley, our city public information officer, will be putting out a lot of good information on the city's Facebook page. They're also advocating and promoting different businesses and ways to support businesses that are closed tomorrow. I do suspect a lot of businesses will be closed tomorrow, and there's information on the city's Facebook page where those businesses are sharing information about how to continue to support them or their hours or how they're going to operate during this winter storm. So be safe tomorrow. I do want to take some questions from some people who have left some comments. So if you have a question, type that in the comments. Rich and I are going to do our best to answer those for you. So let's see what we got, Rich. So, a question from Melanie about when will the plow be on non-oval roads? So, we can't answer when it will be out there. We do know they are already out working and brining the roads with the pre-treatment. And then once the snow begins to fall, there will be 4 plows working on regular rotations on tier 1 and tier 2 routes. You can see non-oval road. I'll put my mouse over it. The arrow, it has that orange color. It is a tier 1 road. So truck number 1 is tasked with non-oval road, and they will continue to focus on those routes until they're able to clear it up. And again, 24-hour operation. And we're just grateful for the investment in this technology and equipment. They have a lot of it for a city of our size, and we're grateful for it. And they're going to use it. You're going to be able to see it being used tomorrow. Again, it doesn't make things perfect. It makes things better than what they could be. It's all dependent on how much snow we get, what is the temperature, do we get any sunshine? Many different factors go into how quick a road is cleared or not. So as that heavy snow is underway, it'll be very difficult for these crews to clear the snow, but they'll continue to work, continue to work. So once the snow stops, they can work even harder to get the road cleared and clear it of snow as best as possible. So really appreciate, again, I mentioned this earlier, the work that they do. They'll be working some really long hours doing whatever they can to keep the roads clear. Thankfully, we don't see many of these events happen year after year, so you're not going to see an operation like you would see up north where they get snow very frequently. If we bought all that equipment and it sat around for 360 days of the year, it would be a waste of money, right? So the city focuses on buying equipment that they can use for other operations throughout the year when it's not snowing. And then when it snows, they attach the plows, they put the salt shakers in the back of the beds, they attach the tanks that drop the brine. So it's just more efficient with our tax dollars. And it's more multi-use equipment that you see, but it's a lot of equipment. We've never had 5 trucks running on a 24-hour basis, and we will see that through this winter storm. And for all of our public works teams, thank you for what you do. Question here from Pepper. She just makes a statement. Devonshire will need to be salted. We have several crashes on that road every snow, and thank you. So Pepper, you're right. Devonshire is a steep hill grade. It goes in and it goes back up. Very steep hill. It's one of those scary ones if you have to travel down it during the snow. That route is also on a tier 1 route, so it gets the first priority. And it's tasked with truck number 1 on the map. So it'll get attention prioritized above most roads within the city. So that's good as well. And I also know too about road clearing. You'll see the state on Lebanon Road, Mount Juliet Road, and Central Pike. Those are state routes, and they will also help clear those routes as well. So you always see the bigger roads, your state routes, cleared more quickly because they have multiple different agencies working on clearing it. You have the state, and then you have the city working on clearing those routes. So Chris asked the question, when will you salt and or brine the roads? And Chris, they're already brining out today. I was out and about throughout the day going to different meetings, and I saw a lot of salt brine up on Mount Juliet Road by the state, Lebanon Road by the state, all of the different city streets by our public works vehicles, and even the interstate. They got ahead of it, and they're putting a lot of brine out. So that's good. Hopefully it'll help a little bit. Okay. And Rich, I think this comment's for you.
Yeah, my sister-in-law. Thanks for the update and all you do, and boo to the snow. Ironically, she's from upstate New York, so she should be used to it.
My brother lives in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and when I went up for the Thanksgiving holiday, it was snowing. They had lake effect snow ongoing, and everyone operates like it's normal up there. It's not like a snow day in Mount Juliet where everyone's off the road. So everyone's just out and about, but they have a lot of equipment out running. But again, they're constantly getting the snow. So that investment in the equipment makes sense, right? And I didn't see many crashes, which is nice. Here, different story. We're not as experienced. in driving in the snow and ice. So we see more crashes out there as well. We don't get the snow and ice often. And it's just a day to hang out, enjoy the snow. I was following the different social media pages and people were trying to get last minute sleds. I saw pictures from Kroger and Publix where the shelves were empty of food. Hopefully they were restocked today so you could get whatever item of food that you needed. But I also saw different comments about people helping others and giving ideas about what to sled on. Now you can take a cookie sheet, Rich, and sit on it and go down a hill. People turn up the trash can lids and use those. I've heard a family mention using the boogie boards and stuff you take to the beach. You can use that to get on hill and sled down. So I'm sure you'll probably see some of our officers out sledding as well. Let them borrow your sled. They want to have a little bit of fun too. Typically, our call volume is pretty calm and it's not high, and they're able to have fun as well and just enjoy the community with everyone else that's out there enjoying the snow. So, like I said, I like it for one day and I'm done for the year. I wish it was 80 degrees. Rich will like it for 3 weeks. So, for those of you who do not like the snow, blame Rich. For those of you who like the snow, you can blame me because I don't like to see it. And then Keith just added all of us in collision repair are waiting on payday. That is on its way. So I hope we don't see many collisions because there's a report that has to go with that. We're always worried about our police vehicles being crashed into, and just know if the police car is on the side of the road with those blue lights on, there is a hazard. There's a hazard. So take it slow. When you're driving in the snow, you don't want to make any sudden movements. Don't slam on your brakes. Don't accelerate quickly. Don't turn quickly. Slow, methodical movements as you're driving around. For those of you who are more confident in driving, you want to be mindful about not speeding by others who may not be as confident in driving in the snow. It's just at some point we have to care about each other, and sometimes it seems like it's harder to do these days in today's times, but kindness goes a long way. So if I had any advice for anyone, it's please just be kind to others. We all come from different set of circumstances and situations and experiences. We are all different in many different ways, and we react differently to different things. And some of us want to drive slower in the snow than others. And just be mindful of that and just be a little patient and be a little kind. Know that your city officials, your police teams, your emergency services, and your public works crews, they are going to be working around the clock to keep things moving as best as we can in our community. Will it be perfect? No. Will every street be plowed? No, that's not how it's meant to be. The main roads are meant to be plowed. Secondary roads are meant to be plowed, but not every neighborhood street is meant to be plowed, because they have to focus on the main roads to ensure emergency response is there. Because life continues. People still need an ambulance. There could be a fire. There still needs to be police response. And so we need to ensure that we're taking care of those who truly need help during these moments. And again, like I mentioned earlier too, we're hoping for a nice, easy winter storm. Some winter storms are easy, some are harder than others, but I'm hoping this one is an easy one. Rich, do you have anything to add?
Well, I want to say hi to Joe. Joe just popped in there real quick. Hey, Joe from Grand Turks.
Okay, he's on a cruise.
Hope you're enjoying your vacation, Joe. He definitely needed it. Yeah, good for him.
Joe, you forgot to take me.
Yeah. He knew you were going to enjoy the snow with me.
Yeah.
To echo what Deputy Chief was saying, y'all, yeah, take care of each other in this. That's super important. I mean, I can't tell you how many times we've had the great snows we've had. And it absolutely is heartwarming to see how many times we'll get out there to try and help folks out of a snowbank or push somebody out of the roadway, and random people just stop to help us. It's so amazing and so heartwarming. We have got such awesome people here. It's really nice and really cool. I mean, we all are so good at taking care of each other here. So keep it up, y'all. We know we do the best we can, but sometimes that extra helping hand goes a long way. So to definitely help take care of yourselves and each other's. and look out for your neighbor. You know, if you know that neighbor that needs a heater, or like Deputy Chief said, someone needs an extra heater or needs some help getting some food or whatever it is, don't be afraid to reach out to us. You know our number. You know how to get a hold of us on social media. Reach out to us. We're not hard to get a hold of, and we can definitely get somebody taken care of. So, y'all take care of each other. It's gonna be a good one. It's gonna be some good wet packing snow. We're gonna have some fun with this one. So, watch out. You might catch me on a sled too this year.
There you go. I hope to see you on a sled. And since you said that, Rich, we need to make sure we see you on a sled. We'll have Jacob, our multimedia specialist, out with his camera to video that.
You might just catch it this year.
Maybe we can find a hill to race down together.
I tell you, one of my favorite hills to always go watch the kids at is right up the street here at Grace United Methodist. They have such a ball there. I love going.
They don't like us to advertise that. So just remember, folks, there is private property out there, and you have to have permission to be on private property because there are liabilities associated with things that they worry about. So try to focus on your neighborhood common areas that you can, and just be mindful that there are people have their own property, and it scares them when a bunch of people come out and sled because they're worried about injuries and the liability. So just be mindful of that. Be safe out there. And if there's anything you need, you know who to reach out to. Reach out to your police department. We're here for you. We're here to serve you as best as we can. And we just want everyone to have a safe time. Stay home tomorrow. The roads are going to be hazardous once that snow begins. Take care, everyone.